Check one, two. Check one, two. Check, 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 check. Make sure this thing's on. All right, cool. All right. What's good, y'all? You know what time it is. It's your boy, Conscious Coon Killer. You're the coon within me, coon within you. Now, I know I've been gone for a few weeks and stuff. Last time I was on was my birthday. Did a stream with Danica Marie, Dope Discussions. Go check her channel out once again. Danica Marie, Dope Discussions. Go check out my last video on my channel that I did with her on interracial relationships and all that good stuff we talked about. Good conversation. But yes, as y'all see in the title, this is my thoughts, my review, whatever you want to call it, of the mini series, the mini Netflix series of the show When They See Us, which was about the what was it, the park, yeah, the park, Central Park Five, the five young boys in Central Park that essentially got framed for rape. Now I'm gonna just get into it. First and foremost, I didn't know too much about this beforehand. I feel like I've heard the, I guess, term or what you want to call it, Central Park Five before, but I've never actually heard about the whole case before. This literally happened the year before I was born, so I guess technically it was before my time, right before my time. But yeah, just I'm gonna be, I already know I'm gonna be all over the place, but the whole thing is sad for many reasons. And to me, the saddest thing is that this type of stuff still happens. This was literally 30 years ago. Oh, the computer crashed on me. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Still going? Literally. All right, sorry about that. My computer just froze for a second. But anyway, sorry about that, technical difficulties. But this was, uh-oh. 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 And everything will start tripping. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I think it's going. Is it going? Okay. So anyway, 30 years ago, right? This is still going. So it's like exactly 30 years ago. This type of stuff still happens. This happens all the time. This was just something that ended up being publicized on TV, and newspapers, all that type of stuff. That's not me trying to downplay this situation. I'm just saying this type of stuff has been going on since before the whole Central Park situation and 30 years after, right? So these five young boys, these five teenage boys, five black boys. I know one of them was Puerto Rican, so I guess you want to say Latino or Hispanic, even though I mean he was pretty much black. If you look at the actual five men, the real life people, you look at the, I forget everybody's name besides Corey, but you look at the I believe it was maybe Reginald might have been the Puerto Rican. But if you look at the actual man, I mean, you can tell he definitely has strong African ancestry in him. But regardless, five young boys, five teenage boys who basically were in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? So, right off the bat, these kids just hanging out, being kids, going to the park, New York City, just kicking it and stuff, just wiling out, as a lot of us still say, just kicking and goofing around, just they're just being kids, not really doing nothing too bad. I mean, they were going out to I forget exactly what they were going out to the park for, but it wasn't to rape nobody. They was just kicking it, goofing around, just being silly teenagers, right? So basically, the cops show up and just start rounding up these kids. Hits one of the kids over the head, roughs him up, his eyes all swollen, all this type of stuff. So they take the kids down to the police station and everything like this, and start interrogating them. Now, right at the bat, these kids were all somewhere roughly between the ages of 13 to about 16. So they were all minors. The parents were not present. A lawyer was not present. And they just started going in, just start trying to scare the kids and all this type of stuff, trying to get them to confess to something that they didn't do. The lady, like I said, I don't remember everybody's names. I really don't even want to remember the white bitch's name. It was two of them, but the main one, the more, I guess, kind of blonde, like straight up blonde one, she just wanted somebody to go to prison for the rape of this white woman. She's like, oh, this is wrong, which all rape is wrong, whether it's, black woman, white woman, male, female, whatever, right? But she was, oh, this, white woman got raped in the park and da da da. We need to, put these animals to, to prison, all this type of stuff. So they were just like, tripping. Don't, we should just round up, as many black people as we can, and da, 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 all this type of stuff, right? So they round these 5 black kids up. Of course, they're scared. They don't know what's going on. They just want to go home. So they essentially start snitching on one another because they interrogated each kid separately, so they weren't, around one another. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't even know really who all was involved because they didn't do nothing. So they were just discombobulated. They didn't know what the hell was going on. But they were just basically trying to scare them and lie to them into telling on themselves, right? So after a while, some of the parents, or excuse me, some of the kids' family members started showing the parents, and one kid's sister showed up, all this type of stuff. The I guess Puerto Rican background child, his dad, played by John Leguizamo, if I'm saying his last name right, great actor. He was in Spawn and all that type of stuff. Anyway, he shows up with his mom, with the boy's grandmother. He's like, hey man, I just gotta get back to work. Sorry, it took me a while to get here. Da da da. I'm on my break, or whatever the case may be. Like, oh, we got your son. He's been here for a couple hours. Like, yeah, I know. Like, look, I can't really stay. Can my mom just, be present? And then like, okay, that's fine. She's, direct family, whatever, whatever. And he's like, yo, the only problem is she doesn't speak English. And they're like, all right, cool. We'll have a Spanish translator. So they bring a Spanish translator in, and they're talking. Like, oh, we believe that you had something to do with the rape of this white woman, da da da. And he was like, I don't know anything. Like, that wasn't me, like da da da. And they're translating. And then eventually they tell the mom to leave so they can start going in on the kid. And then it was basically the same thing with each kid, with the mom and the dad, or sister, whoever, kind of coming in. Eventually they kind of got the parents to leave. First of all, these parents were all dumb as hell. The one dude's dad told the kid, just do whatever they say, knowing that I believe, as later on in the movie, he even admitted that he doesn't trust the police, but he told his son to do whatever they said. And they left, right? But the mom and the dad left the kid alone in there. He's like, look, just do whatever they say, because if you don't, they're going to kill you. They're going to lock you up, which they didn't kill him, but they ended up locking up all 5 of these boys anyway. Instead of saying, hey, look, don't say shit until we can get a lawyer. If we can't afford one, they have to give us one, which, I wouldn't necessarily trust that, because they can just get you some little bullshit ass lawyer. But still, either way, it's like, look, son, don't say nothing. Just tell them, like, look, I'm away from my lawyer. We're gonna go from there and keep that shit quiet. No, the dad was like, oh, look, just do whatever they say. The dad damn near was more scared than the son, which I understand. I'm not saying that parents shouldn't be, afraid if their child is in these type of situations, but I'm just like, bruh, like, you know, so I feel like the parents kind of messed up right there with that bullshit. Just either believing the cops or telling the kid just kids just do whatever the cops say. Da, 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 da. So fast forward to the trial. Um, they all they're all they're asking them questions. Da, 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 and like, well, look, we didn't do it. At the trial, and at this point, they had already tricked the kids into signing, some stuff saying that they did it, and they had them, they recorded all of them lines saying that either they did it or one of the other kids did it, and all this type of stuff, just so because they told the kids that they would go home. They're kids, they're teenagers. Not saying that they couldn't have known better, but I'm gonna give the kids a pass. I'm a little more concerned that with the parents not, saying like, hey, look, don't say shit. You have the right to not say anything. The parents didn't tell the kids their rights. I don't remember if the cops did. I don't think that they did. So the kids didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the parents were dumb as hell. They should have known that the kids had the right to not say shit instead of telling the kids, hey, just do whatever they say, or da da da. The sister was probably the smartest one because they were trying to get her to sign the thing to, say that they did it or whatever. And first she's like, no, I'm not signing this shit. We're gonna wait till our folks can get here. We're gonna wait till we get a lawyer, da da da. And the boy was just like, look, like, sis, I just want to go home. Like, like, please, can you just sign it? I just want to get out. I just want to go home. So he starts crying, all this type of stuff. So she just kind of caved and signed the thing, and then that led to the trial. And they're like, look, we had nothing to do with that. Da, da, da. Clearly somebody else raped her. Like, y'all tried to do a DNA test. It came back false that it wasn't our DNA. Like, yada yada. But then they try to flip it to, oh well, you held the woman down while this sixth mystery man raped her, even though the sixth guy wasn't there. But they're like, look, we got y'all. We'll quote unquote keep looking for that other guy later. But in the meantime, y'all still contributed to the rape. Y'all may not have any blood on your clothes, even though she had a bloody shirt. You may not have any, spermy type of DNA, but y'all beat her up and held her down though, right? That's what y'all said on tape. That's what y'all wrote down the thing. And they're like, well, look, y'all told us if we said that shit that y'all would let us go. And then they're trying to play dumb, like, oh, hey, look, we're just going to offer what you said. So we're supposed to believe you. We got this tape of you saying that you did. We got, the signed thing. So the one kid, Corey, they're telling him to read what he had signed. And I don't know if Corey was like slow or because they said that he had been skipping school a lot. So I don't know if it's one of those things where he just skipped so much school over the years that he just had no book smarts, or if he maybe was just a little slow or something, because he said that he couldn't read. So he's like, look, I think that they might even forged his name because he was like, look, I didn't sign that. Da, da, da. He's like, yeah, I can't even read. Like, and they're like, can you at least try? He's like, I mean, he's like, I can try, but he's like, I don't know. Like, so, fast forward, they all get found guilty. Some of them the same charges, some of them different charges, some of them it was sexual assault, some of them it was full-blown rape, so on and so forth. So they get to Corey last. At first, they're going through all the different things, like, as far as rape, you're found innocent. And they're like, yeah, like as far as this, that, and third, innocent, right? So you're thinking like, damn, wait a minute, because it's supposed to be all five. Because like once again, for me, I didn't know much about this, so for me, like I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. I'm like, okay, well they're going to get him on something, right? So they're going through the list, talking about, oh, innocent this, innocent that. So I'm thinking maybe he ended up going to prison for something else right after that or something, right? So then they're like, oh, as far as sexual assault, guilty. As far as I forget, oh, they started let's list all this other shit off. Guilty, like just hitting them. I think all the other boys just were found guilty on one charge. He had like 3 or 4, right? So Corey ended up in prison twice as long as well, roughly. They all were in prison. I think it was around 6 to 12 years, somewhere in there. So he was in prison roughly twice as long as everybody else. On top of that, he started off in adult prison. The rest of the kids went to juvie and then obviously eventually went to adult prison once they got older, right? Because he was 16, but they tried him. I don't know. I think he was actually 15, but they said he was 16, and the mom was like, when they were at the police station, the mom showed, she was like, look, like my son isn't that age. And like, well, do you have a birth certificate? And I guess she didn't have one on him or on her, and she couldn't get it in time or whatever. And they kind of like tricked him into saying he was 16 instead of 15 or something like that. So they're like, okay, well, shit, we can just round up to 18 since you say you're 16. So he went right to just full blown prison, right? At 15, 16 years old, right? So Corey, I'm kind of fast forwarding, but the other boys, they kind of go through. The one kid was the one black kid was Muslim, so the mom would come in and show up and talk to him about his studies and reading the Quran, all that kind of stuff, and then but it was really just the mothers, of course, had the fathers either weren't there or weren't showing up at the prison. The one Puerto Rican dad, John Leguizamo, they show him talking to his son on the phone, period, things like that throughout the years. They never show him showing up at the at the prison. I believe his biological mom left because when he came back, his dad had a new wife, and I don't think the mom was there. There's a lot of Latino families. They have a lot of people in the homes, in their homes, in their houses and stuff like that. I believe the mom left, his biological mom, but the dad, he was talking to him on the phone over the years, as time passed or whatever. The other boys' moms, were showing up to kind of, see how they're doing throughout the years, whatever. So they, time skipped for 4 out of the 5 boys in like, I think it was the third episode. There was four episodes. First episode was more so just the kids hanging out and then them getting interrogated and all that stuff. And then the second was kind of more so the trial and whatnot. And then the third was prison and then them getting out, or at least the 4 of them, right? So they get out. The black dude who studied the Islam religion, he gets out. He ended up getting married within the first 9 months that he got out, so he could get some pussy, because obviously he can't have sex out of wedlock. The other guys, they found, some girlfriends, a Puerto Rican dude. There was a girl that he had been talking to while he was in prison, so they finally could full blown be together. They were trying to get a place together because he was living at home, like I said, with his dad and his I guess mother-in-law or whatever. And the mother-in-law was caught blocking him and just being an asshole to him, right? Of course, the dad wasn't defending. The dad was just taking his wife's side and all this other bullshit, right? So he's like, I gotta get the fuck up out of here. So his girl was like, yo, there's this place, it costs this much money, and we've got to pay, this much for the deposit in the first month and last month's rent. Do you think we'd be able to do that? And he's like, yeah, I think so, or whatever. Like, New York. So he's trying to get a job, and they're kind of. I love how Ava. I forget how you pronounce her last. It's over the D, but Ava is a great director. Go check out 13th as well as documentary made by Ava. That's also on Netflix. But I love how she highlighted not only how corrupt the police and the so-called justice system is in the courts, but just the overall prison system, and then how it is once you get out and you have that felony hanging over your head, you can't vote. It's damn near impossible for you to get a job. I love how she just highlighted that. So when the Puerto Rican guy, he was trying to find a job so he could eat, so he can get the hell up out of his dad's crib, so him and his girl could live together, all that kind of stuff. He's talking to, I believe, like his parole officer or whatever, and he's telling him like, yeah, so have you ever filled out a job application before? He's like, no, because he had been in prison since he was like 14. So he's showing how to fill out. He's like, yeah, so this line here would have asked you have you ever been to prison? You got to put yes if you're a felony and for what, And since you went to prison under a rape charge, like whether you did it or not, that's what you went to prison for. you know, that means you can't be around kids. So, you know, these kind of jobs you can't get because you know, can't be, you know, around children. So something like that. I forget exactly what he said, but just, you know, him being a sex offender, basically a lot of employers aren't going to hire him in environments where kids are going to be around because he's a registered sex offender. I think it was something like that. Not that he couldn't be around kids, it's just something to that effect. So he's going through all this stuff, like basically, you know, you can't work at the restaurant that you're at. He's like, you can't work here because that guy right there, he's pointing at this dude working the cash register or whatever. He's like, he also, you know, is a felon, and you can't work with felons or some. I forget word for word, but you just kind of going through the whole thing. And dude was like, well, damn, like, so how the hell am I gonna get a job? He's like, really, just whoever will take you. So finally he got some kind of job, like doing whatever, like a warehouse job, something like this. Um, and he wasn't really making that much money. So he was like, well, fuck it. You know, his homeboys on the block was selling crack. So he started doing that, which kind of shows, and this is not me advocating anybody breaking the law to make money. But that being said, I understand. A lot of times, especially us as black men and so-called, you know, quote unquote people of color. I fucking hate that phrase. But, you know, us as black men and just other melanated males in particular, you know, if we go to prison and we get out, not only is it hard for black men to get a job without having a felony, like myself, which granted I have multiple jobs, but I'm just saying, as a black man who does not have a felony, I know how that is. So I can imagine having one, right? So, you know, he's like, well, shit, you know, I'm not making no money. So he's like, fucking, let me just sell this crack, you know, for a little bit so I can make this money so I can pay this rent so me and my girl can be good. Ends up getting caught. Yeah, you know, not to tell that. Yeah, he did go back to prison for a little while for selling crack. I forget for how long, but it just shows how the system is set up for you to go right back to prison. So they know, because they know most places are not going to hire you to work in the, you know, in their establishment if you're a felon, and it's harder to start your own business if you've been in prison for the last 5, 10+ years, especially them as kids. Like, they had no time to really build any kind of credit or nothing. So it's like, how the hell you supposed to start your own business, especially if your family has no wealth, which most, you know, black families or other melanated groups of people, most melanated groups of people in America don't have a lot of wealth, right? So starting your own business, not that it's impossible, but it takes money to make money a lot of the time. So starting your business isn't going to happen day one, but you got to eat every day. You got to pay rent, whatever that you're doing, right? So they know a lot of black men, a lot of melanated men are going to go right back to some kind of crime, which granted, they went to prison for false rape allegations, but you know, a lot of people are in prison for for non-violent crimes, right? And so they know that a lot of times you're going to go right back to doing it because you can't make any money any other way, right? So he ends up getting caught. Goes back to prison for a little while. The other guys, like I said, they, you know, get you know, find some women that, you know, to kind of start a family, yada yada. The one boy whose dad told him to do whatever the cops told him to do, he and his dad, they obviously didn't have a good relationship. His mom was telling him how his dad had left for like 2 years and then came back once he kind of got sickly, like he had some kind of health problems or whatever. So he pretty much was like, well, fuck him, you know. So he got on his grind. He found a job eventually, and he's like, look, I'm gonna take care of you, mom, and like I'll help him out too, but you know, mainly for you, da da da. And eventually, you know, he, you know, met somebody and everything like that. And that believes kind of the same thing with the other boys, right? So the whole time, a couple of guys, they're like, you know, yo, like what happened to Corey, this, Corey that. So I think like, damn, we have only seen four of the guys. There should be a fifth dude. I'm like, damn. And they're like, yeah, you know, I haven't heard from Corey in a while. Like, last I knew, he went from this prison to some other prison and yada yada. So I don't know, but we should try to find him. So I'm thinking like, wait a minute, he's still in prison. The rest of them are out. They at this point, it looks like they had probably been out for about a year or something like that. you know, or give or take. So I'm like, damn. So then the fourth act was pretty much all Corey. And shout out to the dude who played him, Corey Wise, Jarrell Jerome. Oh wow. He was the only actor who played both the adult versions of these guys and the child version of these men, right? These individuals who are now they're men now. Um, so yeah, man. So we get to him, and starts him off, in the first prison that he's in or whatever, and as a kid, and they're showing where's prison's at, yada yada, and people are kind of hassling him because in prison the prison rule is if you're a rapist, like that's a no-no, which yeah, I agree with that if you actually did it. Like, they tend to fuck up a lot of people that are rapists, and these guys were famous, so they knew that they were in there for what they were in there for, not even though they didn't do it, but they like, okay, well, whatever, that's what's on paper. So this dude's getting beat up, probably raped. They didn't show it, but I'm assuming that they were trying to imply that he probably got raped too. I don't know. Um, so one of the prisoners, this dude who had the guy that had the locks or whatever, was telling him like, "Hey man, you don't like it here, da da da. You could ask for a transfer." And he's like, "Oh, a transfer? What's that?" He's like, "Oh, you can just write a letter. It might take a year or so, but I mean, it's something." He's like, "Yeah, yeah. My mom's. It's kind of hard for her to get here. It's whatever many miles away from home. So hopefully I can get transferred closer to her and kind of get away from some of these guys that are messing with me, and get to a prison where people leave him the hell alone and yada yada." So he gets transferred further away from home. So now his mother is it's even that much harder for his mom to come see him. He's still getting fucked with. So eventually he asked if he could be in solitary confinement, right? So he does that for a while, blah blah blah. Still getting fucked with when he's in the lunchroom, all that kind of shit. Ends up getting transferred again, like hundreds of miles away, right? He's in solitary confinement, and he just I'm kind of fast forwarding, but I mean he just goes through all this bullshit, right? Just everybody's just either fucking with him. Eventually, one of the guards was pretty cool that he meets later on, things like that. He finds out that his older sibling passed away. His older sibling was transgender, was a transgender woman, so it was a boy that identified as a girl, right? So they tell him that his sibling died, so he's going through that. Probably hadn't seen his mom in a minute at this point. It'd been like he was in prison for like 10 plus years, while the rest of them was like 5, 6 years, something like that. Um, so he after a while he just kind of starts just kind of imagine what things would have been like if he would have just not have gone to that park that night, because he was hanging out with his girl. They were at a restaurant eating and stuff, and these boys like, "Hey, come on, man, come on," and he went with them. So he started imagining going to Coney Island and just with his girl or whatever. Or no, was it Coney Island? Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's imagining him and his girl going to this carnival and stuff like that, and just you just feel bad for the dude. Like, damn, he's really just alone. For a second, I'm kind of like, damn, this dude gonna commit suicide, like, because I could have sworn all five of them, survived. Because I remember seeing some interviews with them, and I was like, damn, I'm trying to think. I was like, damn, what was it, four of them or five of them? And I'm like, shit. I'm like, this dude gonna end up killing himself because he had to go to these like hearing things or whatever, and they were trying to get him to not admit but to lie and say that he did it, all this type of stuff, and he was sticking to his gun, like, no, like I didn't do that shit. This is all bullshit. So they just kept saying, okay, well, you're gonna stay in prison for however many years, and he stayed in, kept doing his time, yada yada, and then eventually, the guy who actually did it, after 10 plus years, out of just guilt and pain and everything else, ended up confessing. So Corey ends up getting out because the dude who actually did it told the truth. The whole time this is all going on, Donald fucking Trump. The whole time this fool was talking about, oh, we need to bring back the death penalty in New York and all this type of shit, yada yada. If they would have had the death penalty in the 90s when the bulk of this shit was going on, right? Those five men would have died for something that they did not do. Not only did they excuse me, not only did they lose the rest of their childhood, but if um if the death penalty would have happened, that I mean that would have been it. You know what I mean? They would never got to live out the rest of their lives, nothing, right? Over a false rape allegation, over these two white women, these two white demons, mainly with the two white women trying to just put innocent black men, innocent melanated boys, because they weren't men at the time, innocent melanated young boys in prison, right? So they end up getting out, and then Corey, well, the other guys were already. Corey ends up getting out. My computer just keeps. Um, so Corey finally gets out, gets free. Shut up, computer. so so he ends up getting out. The rest of the guys, like I said, they were already out. Um, I believe it was in either 2012 or 2017. It was within the last few years, right? The state of New York settled with, out of court $41 million to these five men. So divide that by five, so they each got some odd millions of dollars, a little less than $10 million, right? I believe it's the biggest settlement in New York history or something like this, right? So they all, allowed them to move to Georgia. I believe might have been Corey. I know it was one of them. Stayed in New York. The rest of them moved out. A lot of them started their own businesses, and a lot of it having to do something with prison or prison reform, or trying to help people that have been falsely accused, or helping people who have recently gotten out of prison to find work, just things of that nature, because they went through it. Now their stories being told. I believe that this story has been told before, but this is probably the biggest platform that it has been told. Once again, Ava did a phenomenal job. I know I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. I'm just kind of going over the highlights or the things that kind of stuck out to me. I believe that there's going to be a season 2 of this as well, so they might kind of go over some of the things that happen afterwards, just them, moving, like I said, and continuing their families, starting families, continuing their families, starting their foundation. They might kind of go more than that. But yeah, Ava DuVernay, Ava DuVernay. Check out her content, Ava DuVernay. Not that Wrinkle in Time stuff, but like her documentaries and whatnot. But anyway, I believe any and all black parents, sit your kids down and watch this with them. Seriously. Now, I mean, they're babies, obviously, they're not going to be able to comprehend, but if they are old enough to read, if they're old enough to count, they can do their ABCs, sit them down, especially if you have black boys. But if you have a daughter, if you have sons and daughters, or a son and a daughter, anything like that, if you are a black parent, please sit down with your kids and watch this. And once again, it's not me blaming them because they were children at the time. But if they literally would have done nothing, literally, if they would have just said, "Look, I have the right to remain silent. I need a lawyer present," and just sat there and just shut up. If the parents weren't out here telling them, "Hey, just do what the just do what the cop says," or, "Oh shit, I can't stay," which I get. You got work. You scared of getting fired, that bullshit. But like, motherfucker, you could have found another job. Your son's about to go to prison over some bullshit. You're gonna have your mom, who doesn't even speak English, stay. You know. So, moral of the story: parents, do a better job. adults, period, black adults, which I am a black adult, we need to do better, point blank, period. And, kids, you know, understand your rights. Adults, teach kids their rights, because these fucking crooked ass cops, this fucking fucked up ass system, they don't want us to know our rights so that way they can exploit us. To me, that's the main moral that I took from the story. I'm very interested to see what they do for season 2, and that rhymed. But yeah, Ava DuVernay did a great job. Go check out 13th on Netflix as well. Check out When They See Us. I might watch this again. I know I probably missed some stuff. I know I'm kind of went over some things. But yeah, the kid that played Corey Wise did a phenomenal job. He needs to be nominated for some type of acting award. Did a great job, great job, in my opinion. Damn near teared up in his episode. I don't care what anybody says. Like yeah, it was some heavy shit. But yeah, check it out if you haven't. But yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. I might drop another video a little later on. But yeah, I need to just take a little breather. I've been literally working like every day this week. But yeah, man, check it out if you haven't. But it's your boy, Conscious Coon Killer. Killing coon within me, coon within you. And I'm out. Peace.